Hey, how's it going guys? True here, and yes, we're finally back with the Pokemon content after a rather long hiatus. My life has been super busy, and I do apologize for that, but thank you guys so much for staying subscribed. It means a whole lot to me, and yeah, so if you want to see more content, consider hitting the subscribe button down below. You'd be helping me reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers. You'd be making my day, and it only takes one click. And while you're at it, consider dropping a like on today's video as well. Would really help this video with the algorithm and it getting shared with other people. And with all of that being said, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. You are now watching the True TCG. Alright, so in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the second place deck from the most recent regionals, which I believe is the Salt Lake City regionals. We're going to be taking a look at Suicune V, Inteleon, and Ludicolo. Now this deck has been around for quite a while, ever since Suicune V came out a couple of sets ago. It's certainly been a rather dominant deck in the format at times, and at other times it's kind of backed off a bit from the meta, but now it's definitely swung right back into the meta. Suicune V definitely kind of reminds me of Pikarom. Pikarom just never died, and it feels like Suicune V is just the exact same. So you might be wondering, what's so good about Suicune V? Now, Suicune V is an absolute beast in disguise. Now, if you take a look at it, it only has 210 HP, and its attacks don't look that strong at first, but let's look at the card more in depth. So it has the ability Fleet-Footed, which means once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may draw cards. This ability is not really the greatest ever, but it's not bad, seeing an extra card every turn. Certainly no one's going to complain about that. And its attack, Blizzard Rondo, just for 2 energies, this attack does 20 more damage for each benched Pokemon. So if you do the math correctly, in a normal game, assuming Eternatus, you're not playing against Eternatus or something like that, you can hit up to 220 damage, which is a lot of damage for just 2 energies and a basic V. And most of the time you're without modifiers, you're going to be able to 2-hit KO, VMAXs, and whatnot. And now you might be wondering, how in the world are we going to beat Arceus VSTAR? For those of you who do not know, this deck did lose to Arceus VSTAR and Gengar VMAX in the finals, but I think it was a combination of unfortunate draws and it was just an unfortunate series overall. This deck does have a lot of answers to Arceus, and that is in the form of Ludicolo. And we do actually play a more consistent way to get out our Ludicolos. Ludicolo has the ability Enthusiastic Dance, which basically means that when you evolve into Ludicolo, your basic Pokemon do 100 more damage. So assuming we're hitting 220, we can hit up to 320 now. So that's basically enough to KO most VMAXs in the game, all of the V-Stars in the game, and in this scenario, Suicune V just becomes a nuisance to deal with. And we are playing a very hefty line of Lotad, Ludicolo, and Rare Candy and Scoop Up Net to consistently get out these Ludicolos. Again, our goal of the deck is to get one-hit KOs as frequently as possible, and just playing a high count of these cards is really, really nice. So we are playing a 3-2 line, and Rare Candy and Scoop Up Net, of course, are going to allow us to reuse Ludicolo and just skip the stage 1 evolution and just go straight to the Ludicolo for that plus 100 damage. And we are also playing the broken, busted Drizzile line along with the Suicune deck. It's searchable with Level Ball, which makes it very consistent. And basically, Drizzile is kind of going to function as our draw support Pokemon in a sense. It has the ability Shady Dealings, which of course, as everyone knows by now, lets us search our deck for a trainer card, and Inteleon lets us search our deck for 2 trainer cards. Yeah, so basically same ability, except the stage 2 allows you to search for 1 more. And something you might note is that we are not actually playing the quick shooting Inteleon, which is definitely a pretty interesting decision, but I feel like it definitely is validated. Assuming you don't run up against something like Big Charm, you are just hitting enough with Ludicolo and Choice Belt to 1-hit KO a lot of VMAXs in the game, a lot of V-Stars in the game as well. And Arceus V-Star is super dominant right now. You really don't need quick shooting Inteleon to get the KO on it, and that's probably why we're not playing any of it. So just a really consistent build of Suicune, just trying to get its job done, which is take 6 prize cards as soon as possible. We also play 3 Capacious Buckets, which is a pretty high count. Most lists before Brilliant Stars, I believe, only play 2, but again, consistency, and 3 Capacious Bucket is just a way to increase our consistent way of getting out energy. We are also playing 4 Cross Switcher, which is definitely a pretty interesting decision. I'm not quite sure how I feel about this. I wouldn't mind necessarily playing in like one boss's orders in this deck as well, but I'm going with the second place list here. So basically Cross Switcher is like Custom Catcher, except it's a Guzma kind of. You switch your opponent's active Pokemon with one of their bench, you switch one of your own, and yeah, you have to get 2 of them into your hand, which is very, very possible with our Drizziles. And this basically allows us to play Melony every turn, which is pretty nice. And basically the rest of the list is kind of self-explanatory. And I guess the only notable other tech is Echoing Horn. Echoing Horn is absolutely fantastic in this deck. If you guys watched the stream, there was one game where the Suicune player played an Echoing Horn and got the perfect math KO and Arceus VSTAR like turn 2 or turn 3. And it absolutely swung the tide of the game into his favor. So Echoing Horn here is really circumstantial, but it can be absolutely broken at times. You could cut Echoing Horn for other things, but again, like I'm saying, I'm playing the second place list, and it can be really, really good in some scenarios to help you get the right math you need, especially if your opponent's playing knows what they're doing and is not benching as many bench Pokemon as you'd like. And yeah, that's really all I have to say for this super consistent Suicune list. And yeah, let's hop into some games. Alright, so hopping into our very next game here against Kamen Wong. Good luck to him or her. We're calling the coin flip. It's called Tails because Tails never fails, and it never does fail. So we're going to go first here. Believe that is the optimal way to go, as we definitely want to get set up as soon as possible, get our Sobbles down, get our Lotads down, to start swinging as soon as possible. So yeah, going first, definitely the right thing to do in most matchups. And yeah, so our opponent's we're taking a mulligan here, unfortunately, but our start's not looking terrible. We are going first, unfortunately. No Suicune to start, so I think I'm gonna opt to start with Sobble. Sobble feels okay. Reason being that I have a couple of reasons for doing it. I'm not gonna have to start the Lotad, and basically why we start Lobble over Lotad, why we start Sobble over Lotad, is because we have the Drizzile in hand and we can Scoop Up Net this, but it'd be harder to get a Rare Candy and then a Scoop Up Net on the Lotad if we wanted to get full value out of it. I don't know if that made sense. That's basically why I am doing this. So we can bench the Lotad here, play the Level Ball, I believe, go for another Sobble. Feels pretty good to me. Unfortunately, no energy attachment turn 1. Definitely kind of stinks, but we do have a turn 2 Capacious Bucket as well. Honestly, I feel okay holding this hand here. No way we're getting KO'd this turn, and next turn we have a Drizzile, go for a Capacious Bucket. We can Quick Ball away a Water Energy, go for a Suicune V, Melony to that, and hopefully find a way to move out of the active. Feeling pretty solid about our next turn, and I'm just going to pass. Hopefully our opponent doesn't Marnie us this turn. If they do have a Marnie in their hand, they might not want to play it as well. We only did play a Level Ball this turn. Guess that can kind of give our opponent information that we weren't saving it for a Drizzile, and for that reason we could have an alright hand to work with, but for the most part I feel like we're in a pretty solid spot right now, and it looks like we are up against, could be up against a couple of things. Could be up against Arceus Malamar, could be up against Arceus Gengar, and but we won't know because our opponent's just gonna opt to go for that Trinity charge. I'm going to be charging up a benched Arceus V here, and in this matchup specifically, I want to be careful about when we use our Suicunes, and a really nice thing we have going for us is that we can actually, what am I going to say, we can actually go for attack with Inteleon, this Inteleon, which is super sick with Aqua Bullet. It's a really solid attacker, really solid attack to use to set up a Arceus V for a KO the following turn with the Suicune V. Hopefully that made sense. So let's go for this Quick Ball here, get rid of this Water Energy. Gonna go for a Suicune V here. I'm actually gonna Melony first before I use Drizzile. This way we have a higher chance of drawing into some trainer cards we could potentially use. And if we use Drizzile first and we grab the trainer card that we wanted, there would be a lower odds of drawing into that. So let's play this Melony here. I think this makes the most sense. This hand's kind of debatable. No energy is super unfortunate because, yeah, I would have loved to see an energy here. Yeah, had we found an energy card to work with, Actually, I think we can still make this work. So basically we can Drizzile out here, go for Scoop Up Net. Yeah, I think we can still work with this here. So go for Scoop Up Net, and then we can Scoop Up Net this, move into the active Suicune, and then evolve into the bench Sobble and go for an energy. Yeah, okay, this works out. Had to do a little thinking there, but yeah, sequencing is everything this deck requires, really. So yeah, let's go for this Drizzile here, go for that bucket. Yeah, looking pretty solid. We have an Inteleon for next turn, which is fantastic. Yeah, let's go for this bucket here, grab that energy, guarantee it. And yeah, we're looking all right so far. Can hit this Arceus pretty hard. Unfortunately, no Rare Candy to get the KO here, because we'd be hitting 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, which would have been pretty solid. Unfortunately, just a little bit short. So we're going to attach the Water Energy to the active. And yeah, we don't play any counter stadium, so we won't be using any fleet-footed this turn unless our opponent manages to bump our stadium. But overall, really solid start from us. I'm going to go for that turn 2 Blizzard Rondo, 140 damage, pretty solid numbers. Sets this up nicely for the 2-hit KO. And yeah, let's see what our opponents got. And yeah, it's something to note, they do have the Path to the Peak in play, meaning they actually cannot use their VSTAR ability, meaning they might have a little bit of a hard time finding that choice belt that they're going to need to find to get the KO on our Suicune V, which is good news for us. So our opponent's going to go for that Ultra Ball here, getting rid of an Escape Rope and another Ultra Ball. Pretty solid cards to see go. There's the Arceus V-Star. Again, they cannot use Starbirth, and they have to bump it with the Collapse Stadium, which definitely still sucks for us, but we can just get rid of a Sobble here. Not the end of the world by any means. And if our opponent just has to pay to retreat here, still feeling pretty solid, I guess, overall. And yeah, our opponent's going to be able to use the ability Starbirth, going to be able to find, yeah, Collapse Stadium is super annoying in many cases, especially for us, because we do rely on having a bunch of bench Pokemon to deal damage. But again, it's not the end of the world. Our opponent's probably going to get a Choice Band, a Choice Belt, and excuse my language, it's Choice Belt to be able to get the KO. I'd imagine they probably go for a switch as well of some sort. That'll probably be their turn. They definitely want to keep their benched keep their benched Pokemon slots rather low, because they don't want to get KO'd. And there's the Marnie from our opponent. Don't know how I feel about that one, giving us more cards to work with. Certainly not complaining about that by any means. And we essentially draw into a better hand, and our opponent's going to opt to bench a Gengar V. Interesting decision from them for sure. And if I remember correctly, our opponent could be playing couple of Hyper Potions as well, so we want to be wary of that. So this turn we're hitting 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140. We can actually get the KO this turn, which is really solid. So this turn here, going to start off with the fleet-footed here. I feel like that's the best play to make for sure. Definitely want to bench another Sobble or Lotad. Don't want to put another Suicune V in play. Reason being, we could go in with an Inteleon next turn. As a 1 price card attacker, and make it so that our opponent has to go through about 7 price cards. Seems like a pretty good play for me to make. Let's go for the Melony here. I think it's probably the right play to make now. We have the energy. Perfect. I think we can attach this. Let's play the Evolution Incense here. I think I want to go for the big Inteleon here. Yeah, what's really nice about playing 2 big Inteleon is that you, even if you prize one, you still have another one to work with. So let's go for this here. Gonna go for a Rare Candy for sure. Excuse my voice there. Let's go for the Rare Candy and the Scoop Up Net. I think is probably the optimal play to go with. So yeah, let's go for that for sure. Can Rare Candy? Let's do that. And yeah, dumb benching this Gengar V makes it so that we can get the 1-hit KO this turn, fortunately. So let's go for the 100 more damage here. 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140. We could also utilize Choice Belt, but I actually think we would be 10 HP short. 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 150. Yeah, I think we'd just be 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140. Oh shoot, we're actually short damage. I did my math incorrectly. So that kind of sucks, but again, it's probably not the end of the world. Let's go for this here. Let's go for a let's go for, what do I want? Could go for a belt, wouldn't be bad. We do have another Sobble index, so I probably want to bench that. Go for Cape of Toughness, make it so that it's harder for our opponent to get the KO. I feel like that's a pretty good play to make. Opponent could play Tool Scrapper, but they've already used their Starboard, so it's going to be a little bit harder for them to do that. So let's attach the Cape here. Go for Level Ball, grab out another Sobble here, and I think we are chilling. I think I did mess up my math here. We're actually not getting the 1-hit KO here. Yeah, just gonna be around just gonna be a little bit short, but overall I still think we're fine. I also could have gone for a Choice Belt here, which would have actually nicely set up an Inteleon KO next turn. Because we could hit the bench for 20 damage, maybe somehow utilize Cross Switcher, but overall, still feel like we're in an okay spot as long as our opponent doesn't find a KO on our Suicune V. I think they could actually get it with the Gengar. Gengar Choice Belt would hit enough, and there's another Arceus VSTAR. They have no reason not to put it in play, I guess. There's the big Gengar VMAX. We're actually kind of scared of this. Gonna be very hard for us to actually find the KO on it. Yeah, this matchup definitely feels a little bit rough. I'm gonna check the settings here, make sure the video's in the right spot. It is okay. So yeah, so let's see what if our opponent has it. No, they actually don't have the Choice Belt, so that's fantastic for us. Ideally, they don't have a way to find. In an ideal world, they don't have a way to find. What am I going to say? They don't have a way to find a Tool Scrapper either if they do play something like that. So we could go for a Cross Switcher play here. Maybe swing into the Gengar VMAX here. Don't know how I feel about punching this Arceus VSTAR that much, if I'm being quite honest. Just really, it feels really weird just to punch this right now. I feel like hitting the Gengar VMAX and getting a start into it right now doesn't feel like a bad play. 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140. If we move up to 240 damage, could be pretty solid. We could try to attack with 2 Inteleons in a row. So I feel like I am going to go for this here. Let's go for this play. Okay, so let's do the math carefully. So we're hitting 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140. Want to hit 240, so maybe we can finish this off with an Inteleon. Feels like a pretty good play to make. So let's go for a Cross Switcher here. Again, we have a Scoop Up Net, so we can move out of the active. Scoop Up Net Rare Candy feels okay, I guess. Let's see how many Scoop Up Nets we have left in deck. No Scoop Up Nets left in deck, which kind of sucks. Not quite sure what the right play here is again, but I feel like if our opponent plays Hyper Potion, it's going to be really, really rough. But again, they've already used Starbird, so it might be a little bit hard for them to get to that point. So let's do this. I feel like we could actually let's go for the Cross Switcher play here. Let's bring up the Gengar VMAX. Now the question is, what do we promote here? And whatever we promote, we are gonna actually Scoop Up Net. I like to Scoop Up Netting the Inteleon is just the best play to make here. Even though this means we can't use Ludicolo, everything's just about set up to the point where we can find KOs rather easily. So I feel like this is the best play to make. So we're gonna do this here. Gonna promote this. We're gonna Rare Candy this into a Ludicolo here. Gonna be hitting 100 more. We have a Sobble now, and we have a Drizzile, which sets up nicely for a Raihan play next turn. Yeah, which is definitely what we want here. So the question is, do I want a Drizzile? I think I do. Even though we don't really have much to grab off of this, if I'm being quite honest, does make it so we have access to an Inteleon next turn. Our opponent doesn't have any basic Pokemon in the discard pile, so can't really utilize Echoing Horn now. I think I'm just gonna grab a bucket for next turn. Feels fine with me. Yeah, let's just go for that Blizzard Rondo, call it a day. So we're swinging for 240, which is right enough to be able to use Aqua Bullet as long as our opponent does not have Hyper Potion. If they do have Hyper Potion, I feel like we actually just lose this matchup. Yeah, which would be really, really unfortunate, to say the least. So our opponent's gonna attach to this Arceus VSTAR. There's a Tool Scrapper. That's kind of awkward. That's super unfortunate. Our opponent, I think they actually top decked that. So I feel like we're actually gonna take an L here. That's super unfortunate. Gonna promote the Sobble, I guess, but yeah, I don't really think there's much else we can actually do now. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna scoop it up here because yeah, that Tool Scrapper is just really unfortunate. I guess that's what really makes this matchup super difficult. So our opponent has a lot of answers to our attackers, and yeah, I'm just gonna scoop it up now. No point in sticking around. I can see why this deck really struggled against it in the finals. That's going to do it for game one. An unfortunate loss. Had our opponent not had that Tool Scrapper, would have had a pretty solid line of plays lined up. But yeah, it's going to do it for game one, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Alright, so hopping into our next game here against Ron Bell. Good luck to him or her. Gonna call the coin flip again. Let's call tails. And we do lose the coin flip, unfortunately. So our opponent's probably gonna be going first, and hopefully we get a little bit better of a start this time. Really good start from us, actually. So this game's we're probably gonna be able to have a lot easier time setting up. I wanted to say have probably win, but don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. And we are up against some sort of hybrid Malamar deck, I guess. So this matchup's a little bit rough here, but we do have plenty of attackers to use. And we are going second, which definitely kind of sucks. But yeah, so our opponent, if our opponent bricks, they lose. But if they don't brick, they're probably going to win. That's usually how this matchup goes. We want to utilize Inteleon as much as possible, as well as actually attacking with our Ludicolos. Our Ludicolos actually hit the perfect number to get the KOs. So yeah, that's probably going to be what we want to do. Gonna go for this level ball here. Gonna get out our Sobbles. Actually did prize the Ludicolo, which actually really sucks in this matchup. Normally it wouldn't be as bad, but it's a little unfortunate this time around. So I should have fleet-footed first. That's a misplay on my part. Definitely a miss sequence. You always want to most of the time you always want to use fleet-footed first. Yeah, so let's go for another Sobble here, I think. And for the most part, I feel like we can just pass now. I mean, not a whole lot else we can really do. Just gonna pass. Malamar doesn't usually play Marnie. We actually don't play Marnie, so if our opponent gets the KO this turn, they'll probably win the game, if I'm being quite blunt and straightforward, because if they do find the KO, we're going to be behind on prize cards, and they're probably going to be able to easily chain KOs. Something to note is that our opponent did whiff. Our opponent's playing an Inteleon version. I was going to say, they whiffed a lot of, our opponent whiffed a lot of Cintinos or Mincinos, but they are playing a Sobble version, so I guess they whiff Sobble. But they do have some Sobbles going for them now. They have a Malamar. By the looks of their hand size, they're probably not going to be able to find the KO this turn, which is very fortunate for us, to say the least. So our opponent's going to go for an Octillery play now. Probably gonna, yep, there's a Spiral Energy, so it looks like they're gonna commit to the active. Gonna be very surprised if they have a way to get a KO, if I'm being quite honest, especially with a 3-card hand. So pretty sure our Suicune's gonna be living this turn. Next turn, we probably want to find a Cape of Toughness to make it even harder for our opponent to find the KO on our Suicune V. There's the Scoop Up Net, actually, on the Sobble. Interesting play. Yeah, our opponent's only hitting 80 damage. Not looking too great for them, to be quite honest. And yeah, I'm definitely going to try to get the KO this turn on this Malamar. So, and our opponent is down 2 jump bluff, which is fantastic. So let's go for the fleet-footed first. Not going to forget this time around. So let's do that. There is a Capacious Bucket. Fantastic. It's really, really good for us. So we have a lot of plays lined up now. So we can quick ball away a Water Energy here. And we have turn 2 simply attached to a benched dude. So probably actually want to get out another Lotad, and with the Capture Energy, probably want to search out, so we're going to Melony here. Probably should have done that first, actually. Definitely a miss sequence on my end. So we can use Capture Energy, get out another Sobble. Feel like that's a pretty good play to make. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. Get out another Sobble here. I think this is good. Go for a Drizzile here. Gonna go for probably, and at this point I feel like we can really stockpile what we want in our hand. Since Malamar doesn't usually play Marnie, they could, but I highly doubt it. So we can go for probably an Evolution Incense for next turn. Go for another Drizzile. Go for a Cape of Toughness. Almost forgot about that, but oh, we prized our Cape of Toughness. Fantastic. In the one matchup where we actually really needed it, we did prize it, which is a little bit unfortunate, but I think we'll be able to live with it. So we just want to get a Raihan. Yeah, we can just stockpile a lot of these into our hand. Reason being, our opponent can't really punish us for doing so. Yeah, let's just go for that Blizzard Rondo. Yeah, I'm gonna be punching this Malamar pretty hard. And yeah, let's see if our opponent's going to be able to find a KO this turn. I wouldn't be surprised if they would, if they are able to do so. They are having a rather slow start, especially being forced to burn that Scoop Up Net on that Sobble. Don't know how I feel about that one. So our opponent's going to go for an Octillery first play. Going to go for a Karina's Focus. So that's fine with us. And our opponent could play Quick Shooting as well. We do have to keep that in mind. Our opponent benches a Sobble. There's the Korean's Focus for 5. So that's probably going to be the majority of the cards they see this turn. They can have access to 2 Shady Dealings. There's an Evolution Incense that's probably going to find either a Malamar or a Drizzile, and they opt to go for a Malamar here. So let's see if our opponent's actually able to find the KO. I'd be pretty surprised if they were able to. They have to draw into an energy because unless they play something like an energy search, they already utilize their Octillery, meaning they don't have a direct search for that Fusion Strike energy, or the Spiral energy, I should say. There's a Fog Crystal, so I guess that works. That's going to be their energy. Question being, do they have the necessary? How many? Our opponent needs what? 4 cards to get the KO. Definitely could find it here. So everyone's going to attach the Psychic Energy. Let's see if they just straight up attack or pass, or let's see what they're going to do here. Our opponent's taking their time. Do they have a Scoop Up Net or some sort of way? There's a Rescue Carrier. That might actually do it for them. That could just be enough to put our Suicune V to the graveyard. So our opponent's going to bench an Inkay. So do they have 4 cards in their hand to find the KO? Actually, they might only need 3. No, they do need 4. So do they have all 4? They only have 3, so I think we actually live. We do live. Something to note is that our opponent can find the KO with the quick shooting, which would kind of suck, but there's not a whole lot we can actually do to prevent that, I believe. So let's go for the fleet-footed here. Let's draw a card. There's an Inteleon, and our opponent's actually going to concede here. Pretty interesting. I feel like they probably messed up on their math a bit. And yeah, that's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please consider subscribing. And with all that being said, remember to have a good day, stay safe, and peace out.